This video is to explain how to use our Challenge Titan paper cutter. Very first thing you want to think about when you come over to this machine is, are you the only person standing within the marked boundaries? So it's kind of the number one rule of using this machine, is making sure you're within the boundaries that are marked on the floor. So you can see that yellow and black checkered tape. You want to be the only person inside that zone. I am the only person in the lab right now, so I know that I'm the only person within this zone. Second thing you want to think about is turning the machine on, turning the power to the machine on. So if you look over here at the touch panel, you can see it dark. The machine is not currently turned on. To turn the power to the machine on, you look over here on the right hand side of the machine and you can turn the power switch, which is going to turn the power to the machine on. You'll see the touch panel light up. This machine is controlled by the touch panel, and furthermore is controlled by measurements. All right, all the cuts are based on measurements that you make. When this touch screen first turns on, you will see this screen that shows up. You really have two options here: preset or no preset. 100% of the time you want to click the preset button, and what that's going to do is it's going to calibrate itself. The backstop in there, you'll see that move back and forth, and it's going to self-calibrate. Once it beeps, this measurement, I think by default, goes to about 4.5, 4.4. At this point, you can input your measurements for your cuts. So I've got a stack of paper here. I know this stack of paper is 8.5 by 11 inches, so it's 11 inches by 8.5 inches. I want to cut this in half both directions. How do I do that? I use measurements. I find with a scale here in inches that this paper is truly 11 inches, and half of 11, do a little bit of math, find half of 11 is 5.5. Okay, half of 10 is 5, and half of that extra one left over is a half. So my 5.5 measurement is going to make a cut this direction. Okay, this is where the blade will make the cut, and that'll leave me with 5.5 here, 5.5 here. So my 5.5 cut runs this direction. So on this machine, the blade follows where this white cutter strip is. Okay, and you'll see when you have your paper underneath there, you'll see this light. The light on the paper indicates where the blade's going to drop. Okay, and it's kind of a thick band of light. It's hard to gauge exactly where that knife is going to hit, but it's going to hit on that light band at some point. So now that I know my cut has to be at 5.5 inches, I'm going to set the cutter so that the backstop moves to 5.5 inches from where the blade drops. So the measurement that I put in is from the backstop, that back gauge, up to the blade. The measurement I put in is not from where the front of the paper is to the blade. Okay, so whatever measurement I put in is going to be from the backstop to the blade. So I type in 5.5 inches. You have to type it in a decimal format, 5.5. And then you press the send button up here in the top right. That's going to send that backstop to 5.5 inches. As you hit that button to send the backstop, you have to be aware that you're not within the infrared sensors here on the side. If your arm is in front of those sensors, that backstop's not going to move fully. So after you type the send button, you have to kind of step back out of the way, let the machine do its thing, send that backstop to 5.5 inches, and you'll see down here in the green box, that is the measurement that the backstop is set to. Now that my backstop is set to 5.5 inches, I'm going to back you guys up here a little bit so you can see better. You're going to load your paper into the machine. Make sure any surface that you don't want cut is up on top of the machine. When you load your paper, it's important that you look at the edges of your stack of paper. If your stack of paper looks like this, where sheets are all not lined up and they're kind of sticking apart, sticking all over the place. If you load your paper in like that and make your cut, your sheets are all going to be different sizes. So you want to make sure that your sheets are properly lined up or properly jogged. So you have nice square corners. You look at that closely, you don't see any sheets that are, sticking up out of the norm, all right? So make sure those are nicely jogged on all sides. You may then load your sheets into the machine. If you have big sheets or the sheets that are hard to jog and line up, there is a wooden block here you can use to assist. With that jogging action, make sure that wooden block is not left under the blade. So before you make your cut, you want to make sure that that blade is clear of everything except the paper that you want to cut. When you're ready to make your cut, again, make sure that you're the only person inside this cutting zone. Then you can bring the blade down. In order to bring the blade down, your hands must be on the buttons. So you can see there's one button here and one button here. So you have two hands, right? And two buttons. In order for that blade to come down, one hand must be on one button, the other hand must be on the other button. Okay? That ensures that your hands are not near the blade as the blade comes down. Okay? Unless you have three hands, and then we have a whole other issue on hand. So, on your third hand. So, button 1, button 2, you press them both at the same time. That's first going to turn the hydraulic pump on. Then you press and hold them. That's going to bring the blade down. So the first press turns your hydraulic pump on. Second press brings your blade down. Okay? After that's happened, after your pages have been cut, you can remove this first stack of paper. Oh, the second one came out with it. If that second one doesn't move with the first one, you have the option, the machine will push that out for you so you don't have to push your hands in here by the blade. The button on the screen here that says push out, you press that, you can see it pushes your paper out for you and then returns back to the previous number you had set, which was 5.5. Alright, so that allows you to grab this stack of paper out without having to put your hands underneath that blade. Just an added level of safety there for you. Alright. Now when we started, I said I wanted to cut this in half twice, so now I need to make this cut in half. I know that this width is 8.5 inches. Half of 8.5 is 4 1/4, 4 1/4. So I can type that number in up on the screen here, 4.25. Again, putting that in as a decimal. Press the send button. I'm clear from these beams so that the backstop can move to where it needs to be. Make sure my sheets are jogged evenly in both directions. I got nice square corners. Square up those papers. Make sure the blade area is clear. Again, making sure I'm the only person in the cutting zone. One hand on each button. Drop that blade. Push out my sheets. Wait till it beeps. And you can collect your cut sheets. There are your cut sheets all finished. Last thing you need to do is turn off the hydraulic pump. Button right here on the touch screen. Bring you over and show you. That says motor off. You press that, that turns the hydraulic pump off. The next person, if you've got a line of people, next person can can come and make their cuts. If you're finished for the day, there's nobody else behind you in line, please turn the power off, located over here on the side where you turned it on. One note as you're cutting, if you or your body or your lanyard hanging down or some part of your clothing is in front of these safety beams, that will prevent the cutter from bringing the blade down. So if you lean in like this, where you may be, just touching this the beam of light that shoots across here, that'll prevent the blade from coming down. As will if you have any other part of your body in front of these safety beams. It's just an added safety feature to make sure that you are, again, away from that blade back here on this side of the table as you bring that blade down.